Long time, and welcome very much. Really good to see you across
Thank you, Harold.
the set from across the crowded set, right?
Yeah. Well, you see, you're an inspiration to a lot of people. You've been
Oh.
at this for 30-something years.
Since the early Pleistocene. Which, so anyway,
Which qualifies you as a fossil.
Yeah, like
I've been
an
at
old
this...
fossil. Sometimes I feel that. Well, welcome very much to Conversation. A pleasure to welcome to the program an old friend of Conversations and the world, I would say, and that's that's the creator. Joel Landy, and he's a songwriter, and he's an activist, political and social activist, the highest order. He writes and sings and entertains, and he's also got a very interesting life in terms of social conscience and consciousness, as it were. And Joel, welcome very much. It's really a pleasure to welcome you finally to the Conversation set. You know?
Yeah, we've been trying to do this for a while, and finally our
when we're both fellow public access producers and so forth, and it's really good to welcome you. You're going to play some songs. We're going to play some background, some rolling footage of your song, and you're going to entertain us with some and so forth. But I wonder if you could, like I said at the beginning, could you share a little of your own background, born, raised, educated, sort of thing, and then introduce yourself, and then we'll use that as a sort of backbone to the program, but share your own background, please.
All right, well, I was born in 1955 in the Bronx, and which makes that the second most important thing to happen to my father that year, who was a Dodger fan.
Oh, I see. What happened in 55 with the Dodgers?
The Brooklyn Dodgers won the World Series.
Oh, did they?
Yes,
really?
They
When
did.
did they leave? What was the year they left? That
A
was
couple
like
of years later. So.
How horrible. You win the World
my father
Series.
wasn't a violent guy, but he would have killed O'Malley.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been a real letdown. I mean, you win the World Series. They won in 55.
Yes, they did.
Were you a fan of baseball then?
No,
you were
well,
too
considering
young.
I was following inside of my mom, but don't laugh at that. I was born on a Saturday, September 3rd, at 4:05 in the afternoon.
All right.
And I did some research. The Dodgers played a home game that day, and they beat Pittsburgh, and this rookie named Sandy Koufax pitched a shutout.
Wow. Okay.
So if I'm going to choose to be born,
nice day.
I'm going to be choosing to be born on a Saturday afternoon at 4 in the afternoon after the ball game.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's happy hour.
I went to the program with Timothy Leary, the psychedelic guy and everything, and he had it down. He began the story about his beginnings in this universe of the night of his conception, because he was able to figure it out when that happened. His dad and mother were at West Point, and his mother had danced with General MacArthur.
So that's what did it?
No, it wasn't General MacArthur what did it, but
he said he'd be back.
No, he was able to. That's true. Yeah. No, but it was really kind of interesting. Some people take that. Some of the astrological things figure from the time of your conception and so forth. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. 55, did you say?
Yeah.
So that makes you the brand old 50-year-old now, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations on having gotten over the 40s.
It freaks me out. I got some mail from AARP. I'm going, who's this for? For me?
It'll come with alarming regularity.
When do I get to go to movies for cheaper? That's what I want to know.
Right. So you were in Brooklyn then, right?
Well, no, actually in the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
The Bronx, and my folks moved to Long Island when I was 4 years old.
And what was their background, if I could?
These are depression. My parents were my were union working class all the way. My father was a stagehand.
Stagehand, okay.
My father was a promising opera singer.
No, really, okay.
Yes, he was, and he was going to go to Europe and sing. So the story goes, and his father passed away, so he stayed home and then
got a real job.
And
yeah. That's the way it is so often with the creative.
And he had a wife. He couldn't do the struggling artist because the wife and the kid. And, so for the longest time growing up, I could not forgive my father for giving up an artistic career. For what? For a family?
It's hard
for love? Hey, it's art. That's the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, but it's also you have to eat, and there's a responsibility, and there's a lot of social
I'm growing
things
up
that
too.
put you in that way. Yeah.
I could appreciate how a person could love somebody enough to give something up.
Right, or have a sense of responsibility to the family. And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what would you want to? You had brothers and sisters and things?
Yeah, I have an older sister and a younger brother.
Warm family background?
Oh, well, let me finish. Yeah. So my father was a stagehand, very big in the union. That's where I get my
Broadway?
My righteous working class energy from.
Okay, yeah. My granddaddy was a union organizer, turn of the century Detroit.
Really?
But it wasn't any real unions in the sense of unions like we think of more recently, because he was a lithographer, which is like a profession.
Printing, yeah.
And that was like a guild almost, coming out of a history where unions hadn't had very much of power. Then we went through in Detroit, those terrible times of the 30s when the AFL-CIO and all that was coming. that was serious solidarity time because there were goon squads out hitting people on the head. It was a war.
Hey, nobody has ever given the working class in this country a thing.
Or the world. For that matter,
people talk about Social Security as if it's always been here. There were, I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of people demanding in the street.
Oh, it took a gut-wrenching depression that really just messed up this whole thing and created a context for Woody Guthrie and a lot of other people, and a lot of social pressure, political pressure, economic pressure, and the system, the capitalist system, was really almost overturned. And people say Roosevelt saved the capitalist system, perhaps by bringing.
You think he would have volunteered that if people weren't demanding it?
No, if the people were somewhat contented with the robber baron kind of things that have been happening throughout all of human history and so forth, which unfortunately the masses of the people have always not been very well served by the systems that always served the mafiosa dons what run the political systems throughout history. So seems to me anyway.
So my father, the way I remember the story, stories.
Yeah.
It used to be when I was a kid, I wanted my parents to tell me the truth. Now I want my parents to tell me stories.
You tell me a narrative.
You know.
Tell me
Actually,
a story.
yesterday I took my mom. I took my mom. I asked her to come out to the city, and we got in a car and we went to Brooklyn.
You're living out in Queens. Huh?
I'm living in Queens.
All right.
In Kew Gardens.
But
we got in a car and went to Bensonhurst because that's I'm serving in my first year as a high school teacher. I'm 50 years old, and this is my first year as a high school.
That's
so
sort of new. That's sort of new.
That's new, you know, and it has a lot to do with my teaching ability and work with teenagers and stability.
Congratulations.
And financial. I want to work for 20 years, retire, and play guitar and travel.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Right. I bet you're going to get a few guitar licks in that 20-year period also on the weekends or something.
Yeah, and like a family thing. It's like Joel's talking about family. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, this is.
Yeah, congratulations on all that newfound stability and a new kind of.
It's just happening.
It's a big divide in life when you get into that kind of a framework. Congratulations on having found a lovely partner and everything and all that. I know that's part of your recent experience.
Yeah, that's part of my recent experience.
Yeah, right.
And it's everything my life was pointing me towards, whether I knew about it or not.
You know. What was your mother up to? Your dad was a
my father was a stagehand. First, we lived in the Bronx. I remember he worked at the theater around the corner, and then he got involved with working television and Broadway shows in the evening. So part of my upbringing was sitting in an audience watching people perform.
Okay, not bad.
My father.
Did people come home?
I think my stage debut came in the Bronx when on Saturdays my father would put me in the audience and go to work. And those were the days where they had to pull the curtains by hand.
You're in the audience. You're a show?
Yeah,
You're a show or what?
No, I'm just like out of my father's way.
Oh, I see.
He's trying to work. Put him in the audience, let him watch the movie. They didn't have television. Well, I guess they did have TV at the time. But, and that's another story. I used to get up and watch test patterns, drive my folks nuts.
You did? I
would get up 5 in the morning. What am I going to do? Lie down? I'm 4 years old.
Young man, I can remember test patterns before there wasn't anything other than test patterns. I mean, that's how the television. I can remember, Joel, I'm going to set my coming back from school, they used to have radio, and they had these serials on. They had one called Jack Armstrong, the All-American
Boy.
You remember? Oh,
no, but I'm a student of history, you know.
But I can remember coming home from school for lunch and everything and hearing on the radio Jack, and I'd heard in school, it's still in my conscience, that the adventure that I was listening to was Jack Armstrong was in the jungle somewhere jumping across on the backs of crocodiles, which isn't advised, but I mean that was the adventure. And I had heard, and it had in my conscience, we're actually going to be able to see Jack Armstrong jumping, and it was the presaging the television that was coming, but it had it was going to transform everything, and now, you know, anyway, so yeah. So
my father would work, I'd be in the audience, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and they had the 7th Voyage of Sinbad. This must have been like 1958 or
That was a stage play or
no,
film?
It was
The movie, oh yeah, right. Sabu?
I don't know.
I think, yeah.
Some short guy. I don't know the names of the characters.
Sabu.
All I remember is that there's a part where, and this was truly scary. I mean, you have this cyclops on this island, see, and then he has a pet dragon, and maybe it was Sabu who was the sprite, the genie character in there. The point is, at the end, the idea is that he gets those two guys to fight each other so the good guys can get away.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, and there was one point where the dragon bit the face of the Cyclops. Well, I got up and started screaming, running toward the screen from my
You're
father.
how old now?
About 3.
3.
3.
You know, you're learning like crazy at that age.
Well, what I learned is that was that if you run on the stage and try to run through a screen, you're not going to get to your father.
You ran into the screen?
I'm looking for my old man. And it's like this arm comes out.
He found you, yeah.
That was my stage debut.
You were at 3 in the audience by yourself? You weren't with your mother in the
No,
audience?
my father was working. He put me in the audience.
Just stuck you in the chair at 3. Well, that was a good early upcoming, right? So it set you up for the stage, maybe, and so because you are in.
It set me up for tough crowds.
Oh,
Get off
tough
the
crowds, right?
What's this kid doing up there?
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
anyway.
And so you went to school and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
you go
let's
to
see.
University.
My folks moved to Long Island when I was a kid.
All right.
And my first memory was getting beat up by the kids who lived in the neighborhood.
Sounds like Woody Allen, huh?
Well, and I learned that friends are people that can play with you 1 minute and beat you up the next.
Oh, dear. I don't know. That's not a real friend, I wouldn't think.
Well, that was what did I know? That's how I interpreted what a friend was for many years of my life.
Mm-hmm. And what was your reaction?
There was a point, and I must have been in my 30s,
wow,
when I realized that I don't have to play with people if I don't want to.
Yeah, that's a liberating moment when you realize you can go
people
your
are
own
in
way.
therapy for years to figure that one out.
Yeah.
It just took me on my own.
Well, what were they beating you up for? Why were you beating that? Why were they beating you up?
Because I was small.
You were little, huh? Oh, you could, and there were bullies, right? They were bullies.
Yeah.
You didn't ever have the scene where you just went and
I used to come home.
karate
I used to
and
come home
overcome
crying, and it embarrassed my father because
Yeah, he
aside
said, "Why
from
don't you
being a
put up your
singer, he
hoop?"
was a tenor attitude who used to box. you
Yeah,
know?
right.
So I was embarrassing my old man. So
And then that would in turn embarrass you because you're trying to impress your old man. Right?
well, of course.
This is a deep thing. We need hours of psychoanalysis.
No, we're
this.
fine.
No,
we're
okay,
fine.
okay.
But there's that day where you win your first fight on the street corner.
Did that happen to you?
Oh, yeah.
You did? Did you do it fair and square? Or did
Yeah.
you use
No.
knife?
You learn how to defend yourself.
Remember
or
the
else,
scene
yeah.
with the
So I have
Harrison
a lot of
Ford
respect
kills
for
the guy.
people. I have a lot of respect for people who learn the hard way and then can make peace with what's around them. So that's been my process.
So but you didn't. Okay. So it was the thing. High school, you went to college. Get through this. Then we're going to get to the songs. And when did you start picking up on the singing and that kind of
Well,
stuff?
let's take it through a few things.
Yeah,
The first thing I ever
education.
remember loving was baseball.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I wanted
Did you
to-
play?
Yeah.
What position?
Center field.
Center field.
Yeah.
You're just not that big. I mean, a center fielder should be able to really hit long balls.
No.
No?
Well, I mean, you'd like some pop in the guy.
You're wiry. You should be a shortstop.
Well, I was an infielder until I got hit in the face with a baseball.
I
Then I
see.
became
Center
an outfielder.
fielder.
I was good. I was good. I played well. I mean, I used
Uh-huh.
to make all-star teams, and I was in the Little League and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I was fast and I could catch everything. So.
What about the hitting?
I was a solid singles doubles hitter.
Solid thing, not a go for the walls type.
No.
A lot of those outfielders are that.
No.
Uh-huh.
Hit line drives.
Uh-huh.
Just hit
And
line
did you
drives
follow
and-
the professional baseball?
Well,
were you really carried away with it?
there comes a point where I realized I wasn't going to play the game, so I started wanting to announce it. So I became a broadcaster.
No kidding. For what? What team?
I went to school to be a radio broadcaster.
Okay.
Sports broadcaster.
All right.
I had a college radio show for 3 years.
What college? Where were
New
you?
York Institute of Technology.
You went to New York Institute of Technology, and you're picking up what there other than baseball announcing? Or were
I
you
used to
picking
write
up
for
technical
I wrote
stuff?
for the newspaper and I announced sports.
You announced sports on their local radio thing or something?
It's interesting. New York Tech. If you listen to the radio, you can. I went to school with some of the people that I hear currently.
Uh-huh.
But we were actually on the cable. We didn't have a frequency, but we were on the cable. So if you had a cable television, perhaps you could listen to the radio and hear us.
I'm trying to get it straight because
New York Institute of
55,
Old Westbury.
so by 75 it's coming in, you're about 20 or so.
Well, it took me
the
about...
cable was starting to come in seriously then.
Well, the radio show was like around 1980, 78, 80.
Okay, yeah,
79,
right.
80.
Cable was bringing in a whole new capability. A medium of abundance, it was called by the Sloan Commission. And it really had a big effect in terms of the technological. Were you studying technology and audio technology and that sort of thing at the
It took
same
me
time?
about 7 years to graduate college because I was
7
studying
years.
all kinds of things outside of a classroom that,
Uh-huh.
young people do.
Uh-huh. I see.
Before
Getting
getting-
into all kinds of hot water.
Having fun, yeah.
Yeah, you never had to do time or anything, did you?
No.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. I didn't have to do time. I was taken out of jail right away, so I didn't have to stay there.
Get political early on, or what? Or
well,
let me think again. 55,
my sister,
65. You're 10 years old at the Vietnam. You're 15 years old in 1970, and that. Did you get involved in the Vietnam thing politically?
I was watching my sister, my older sister, and her friends get involved with that stuff, and I was. You know, there was one weekend where I turned on to being aware of things. Remember
one weekend? Yeah.
Well, I remember being a junior. Well, I did my homework all the time. I was a good student, you know. And
it's in high school out in Long Island?
In high school, yeah. Belmore Kennedy High School. We've had brilliant people go to that school, but all the world knows is Amy Fisher, you know.
Amy, yeah, but you were a good student, and you liked school. You liked learning, and the family encouraged that and everything, so it was a good, warm...
I had your standard suburban dysfunctional experience as a family.
Yeah, okay. But then you went to do that sports thing. When did you pick up? Because you have a very good sense of social conscience. Now you follow in the footsteps of Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, Phil Oakes, that kind of thing. So you pick, and I know that ever since I've known you, you had that really strong sense of social commitment. So when did you start picking up on that? And after my junior year in high school, I started becoming more aware. You used to teach at New Paltz, right? I taught 3 long years, yeah.
What years were you there?
68 to 71.
My sister was there at that
time. Kidding.
And in 72, I remember being a junior in high school, visiting my sister for the first time.
At New Paltz?
Yeah, I was going to
Beautiful town.
That's because Floyd Patterson lived in New Paltz.
He did. He lived right on Springtown Road.
And he was giving an exhibition for some kid with cancer. He was fighting Charlie Devil Green, who was a heavyweight from Freeport, Long Island.
Right.
I knew about these things.
Right, because it was sports, right?
Yeah.
You still got that interest in sports?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay.
So I was going up there to check that out and get out, leave Long Island as a
what part of it?
There's
a lot of different parts of Long Island. I mean, what part of Long? Where?
Belmore. It's about an hour out of Manhattan.
Okay,
South Shore.
But it's not like you're far out the end of the...
No,
you're not out in the Hamptons.
You know where Jones Beach is?
Yeah.
Not far.
Oh, out there. Okay, right, okay.
Yeah. There were a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah. So anyway, when did you, you said you had an epiphany or something that put you in
that
one
weekend, sure, because I was visiting.
Was that in New Paltz?
Yeah.
Was it in New Paltz you had your epiphany?
Yeah.
I had a bunch of epiphanies in New Paltz, but go ahead. Yeah.
So I visited my sister, and these were politically active young people who did well in school.
Everyone was then. The whole country was then.
But the whole idea of being able to get into that school at the time, you had to have grades up here.
Where, to get into New Paltz?
Yeah, at the time you had to be a student.
Oh, really?
The things have changed a little bit since that time.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, so you had these smart kids who were politically astute, who were sexual revolution. I mean, everything was going on.
I
Vietnam War, and so there I like this really nice high school kid who was a good boy who did what he was supposed to do.
And you were on the straight and narrow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
On the straight and narrow.
Politically also?
Well,
I was naive there?
I lived in a place that voted Democratic, but that was the extent of it.
Right.
Although Kennedy High School had a reputation for, after Martin King was assassinated, they closed the school. The students did.
Oh, yeah.
The students
that was horrible.
But
I mean, Bobby Kennedy.
The students had solidarity and awareness at the time.
Anyway,
oh yeah,
everyone did.
Not everyone did, Harold.
No, well, it seemed to me everyone in my ken did. I mean, it was just that country. I've never seen the like of it again. I still think that was some magic. Like I was at that Woodstock. Did you go to the Woodstock?
No.
You didn't?
No.
You would have been old enough.
Yes, but as I said, this was at a time in my life when we all go through where we are.
I'm still waiting to hear about the
epiphany. I was probably playing baseball that day.
All right, that's a good thing. Yeah, baseball.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Looking forward to the next
Bob Costas
time.
is good, and that you're still doing the announcing and that, and okay.
Well, in a way, but so I'm telling you.
We got to keep moving because what was the epiphany about?
Okay.
Was it leading you toward the political thing with Pete Seeger and stuff, or what was it?
In a way, it was. I went to a demonstration.
Woodstock would have put you over the edge had you gone.
I'll tell you, on the Friday night after the boxing exhibition, there was a dorm party, and there was beer, and there's people drinking wine and
probably
beer
a bunch
and
of
dancing and. That was later, and that was upstairs, and the next day there was a demonstration, and I got to play some basketball on campus, and And on Sunday, I came home and went to my first rock concert, really. You know,
I'll be darned, really.
So it was like,
oh, wait, what year
this is? A big
what
world.
Year is
1970, 72.
72. Well, you're already 22 years old.
No.
No, you were born 1950. Oh, 55. All right, sorry, right. I was thinking 50. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
I was 16.
All right, yeah, okay.
16,
yeah.
17 years old.
And it was that weekend that sort of put you over the edge
well,
towards the movement?
Well, kind of woke me up to want to get involved with doing other things. And my sister would bring her music home, and I'd be listening to
Bobby Dylan and Joan
Phil
Baez
Oakes and
Phil
Bob
Oakes
Dylan and things
Pete
like
Seeger. You could have stopped in and seen Pete then if you could, because he's right across the river.
At the time, I actually went back up to New Paltz to see Arlo perform. So,
Arlo, yeah, Arlo Guthrie.
But that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, it really was. But there was a lot going on, and that Woodstock Festival, I'm here to tell you, was an epiphany in and of itself. It was really great. If you look at the album on the thing, if I could, the album of the Woodstock, I was there. I saw Richie Havens sing "Freedom" to start it off, and I saw who's the guy, the real guitar player.
There were a few.
Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix played "Star Spangled Banner."
That was at the end. That was at the end.
Well, I don't know. It was a strange time of the day or something. But anyway, there's a big balloon, a big red balloon. That was our balloon. We had a balloon. We had it tethered to the ground so the people from Woodstock, which is a sister community to New Paltz, and New Paltz would be able to know where to gather at that mammoth 600,000 people.
This is the day before cell phones.
Well, it was before cell phones, and that was just a place where they could gather. And it was just great. 600,000 people there, the hog farm and all that stuff, and no violence at all.
No.
It was really quite a thing, a big change from Altamont, But so there were a lot of people going through epiphanies at that time, and you were one of them,
and what I find interesting is that okay, so I went back. I went to college, and then I was away from it. Then I went back. In the time that I figured I went to college for 3 years. I decided to work for a little bit, and then go back to find out, get my work at anywhere that would have me. I found that I couldn't really find a job except my friend. My friend Dave Bloomstein's father was an operations manager at a Pergament department store.
Okay.
And he helped me get a job in the flooring department.
Okay.
And I took a look at what was around me, and there were people who were going to die there. I mean, these were lifers.
Yeah.
Made me a much better student when I went back. And it was Dave Bloomstein who went to the NYU graduate program for telecommunications.
Okay.
And he actually did some work with Martin Elton, who has been on this show.
Yeah, we had been on way back when we talked to Martin.
Yeah, and I interviewed
And Red Burns was down there?
Yes, right. And that was the experience that changed my life.
Okay.
Going to grad school there. I mean, I grew up there. I mean,
you
I
got
actually
into
came of age there.
telecommunications and everything.
Yeah, the whole idea was, this was back in '83 when I went there, and David was one of the first students in '79. But I understood, I had an idea that this telecommunications age, where we were heading with communications and the way things were converging, I saw that.
Yeah, you were prescient in that, and that's where we're going now.
And let me put myself in a place where I could be part of this crest, this wave that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's
because I wasn't sure what I was going to do.
It's a good wave to ride, I think, because it's really very interesting to understand. The medium is a message, Mr. McLuhan. Listen, it's really interesting, and I really would like to have some film of you playing baseball and all that. One of the problems is we only got 58 minutes, and I know you're an accomplished singer. You started picking up, and we got a couple clips we want to get in. We've only got 1 little hour to get all of Joel Landy in, so we got to move along. How did you get to the music, and then make it be a pathway or a runway to set up a couple of these clips?
Well, I had been doing theater throughout my life, and I would sing in choirs and so on and so forth. But the idea of writing my own songs, I was like a bedroom in your own house kind of performer with the music for a long time.
Did you like Dylan? Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
Was he a poet? Yeah.
Actually, I was sitting in a car once and going to a movie with my sister when Positively 4th Street was played on the radio.
Right.
And I thought, wow, you've got a lot of nerve to say that you're my friend.
Yeah.
When I was down, you just told you, and I would beat up a lot when I was a kid. It's like, this man is talking to me.
Yeah, he was a poet, man.
This was a song. That song made me aware that you're allowed to write songs like that.
Right.
It was like reading Catcher in the Rye for the first time.
Were you into Ginsberg?
You're allowed to write about
Were you
things
into
like that.
Ginsberg and the Beats and stuff like that?
No.
And poets? No.
No.
And the songwriting?
No.
Okay, great. But
No,
he was a poet.
Yeah.
And picking up on the times.
That's these things that, well, you're allowed allowed to say things like that. You're allowed to write music like
it's
that.
also, instead of different than writing and bringing the music and the singing, and you had picked up the guitar and stuff, and you'd learned
I started playing guitar when I was about 18 and was so bad at it that I bored myself stupid and I stopped for years.
And then did you pick it up again and just start doing chords and all of a sudden pick it up autodidactically?
Well, the thing is,
you didn't go to guitar playing school.
I had a few lessons when I was 18. But
okay, yeah. And then you've been playing ever since, and songwriting.
Yeah.
So it's like a poet, right? You're like a poet in a way. I mean, I think of the songwriters as being poetry set to music, you know.
Well, in a way, right.
Because you write your own music and your own poems.
Yeah.
And you're also socially conscious.
I write a lot of parodies. I mean, someone's unhappy.
Yeah, and satire is part of your thing, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is really good. Did you like, who was the guy that used to sing Boy Scouts marching songs?
Oh,
Tom Lehrer.
Tom Lehrer.
Do you like Tom Lehrer?
Absolutely.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
And the comedy.
And he's
the
a guy
Fugs.
he chose obscurity rather than fame.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, but he was so clever. Boy Scouts marching song is just great. Fugs, you like the Fugs, or do you remember the Fugs?
Sure.
Okay.
San Francisco.
And you're picking it up, and you're picking up all that stuff, and you got a strong social conscience then, and so forth, and that's been something that's motivated you, as well as you try to lead your life, getting some stability through, technology and that sort of thing. So I don't mean to be abrupt, but the thing is, I want to get these clips in, because I know we got a couple 6-minute clips and so forth.
All right, well, let's just play one of them.
Well, all right. Now, you've been doing that for quite a long time, and that's a major thing where you bring satirical parody to the human condition, and you could stand a few changes in the human condition to bring a little greater degree.
And I've learned over the years, I used to write a lot of these songs that were really pointed and powerful and expressive and sad and depressing. And so, and becoming a better performer over the years, I realized that you don't put like a lot of those together in one show or even one set, you know.
Okay.
It's about entertainment.
Yeah, right.
And being effective with people.
And funny is good if you can work it in, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Without a natural
natural
thing, instead of being cute and forced.
Okay, now you're going to play some songs for us, and this is where you are. And you got a program that airs on public access.
Yes,
you're one of the people who grace public access and make it really worth saving, because we've got so many good producers here in public access. I think that's where the real talent's going to really come out. I think that, you know, in terms of that. A whole bunch of us here that are really good. But you got some songs on clip, and then you're also going to play a song for us.
Yeah.
How should we approach this? Presenting you to my audience, and how should we do clip first or play a song?
So let's do this.
You set it up for us.
Let's do this club. I'll set it up. One of the things that there's a number of cafes and coffee houses and on the circuit that a lot of political folkies play.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is called the 22 Below Cabaret. It's on 22nd Street. It's been going on for 20 years.
Really? Okay,
and
I don't know it. Yeah. Okay.
It was the last of the $5
folk
evenings
song?
of
Folk song?
Well, I topical music.
Okay.
But they have all kinds of entertainment down there.
Yeah.
It's a cabaret, and the people who run the place, Sean Norton and Kim Rich, are very talented and very generous, and I really enjoy working.
There's a group down there. The Tank is another place that's opening up now. But go ahead. Yeah.
And the People's Voice Cafe is another
Oh, that's
one.
on 33rd.
That's at Workman's Circle.
Right.
They used to be at the Washington Church. But,
Yeah.
But venues change. But they're at Workman's Circle now. So there's a number of places that people play. This particular clip that you're going to see is...
Yeah, you're going to set up a clip first.
Yeah, let me set that up for you.
Okay.
Right after we started bombing Iraq a few years back,
Oh, yeah.
I decided to put an evening together where...
Wait a minute, this is during the embargo or actual war?
No, I'm talking about...
The actual war, a couple, 3 years ago.
Like bombs, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Well, there was a lot of bombing going on.
You know,
since 91, it's been a mess.
So
go ahead.
So we had an evening, and in the spirit of Phil Oakes, what we decided to do is declare the war is over.
Okay, yes. Yeah, that's not maybe a bad idea.
And
we've won.
It was a great evening, but every day that goes by, Harold, can you believe it? After all the lies that were being told
I know,
by
it's
these
just
chicken hawks,
I know.
what credibility could they possibly have?
Oh.
And then they tell you something else, which they want you to believe.
I know, it's just
we don't torture.
Piled higher and deeper.
We don't torture. And then in the news yesterday,
torture.
For those people who are watching at home, you know, these shows get played after tomorrow's newspaper comes out. But what was in the newspaper yesterday was the bit about what the Bush administration has agreed to do is let a country that's been friendly with Al-Qaeda run the ports in this country.
Yeah, right.
And what is the most vulnerable part where you can put a nuclear bomb is in the ports of this country. So, do you feel safer? I don't feel safer. Do you feel safer?
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So we declared the war was over.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's theater of the absurd.
And
yeah.
So what we're going to do is what you're going to see now is a part of that evening, and the song is
Chicken Hawk Rag or something?
Draft Dodge Your Rag.
Jeff, oh, it's a rag.
Sir.
Okay, so we're talking with Joel Landy. We got a clip that runs about 5-6 minutes, and we'll be coming back. So if we could set that up, and it's Chicken Hawk Rag, is that it?
No. It's
Draft Dodge Your Rag.
Draft Dodge Your Rag.
Draft Dodge Your Rag.
Brought to you by a bunch of chicken hawks, but let's see what that means.
Okay, please run that first clip if you would, please. Thank you.
Chicken hawk are those people that never fought in a war, but tell people to go fight them. So, there was a list of who the chicken hawks are. My God, the names look awfully familiar. Let's see, we see George W. Bush, who was AWOL from the Texas National Air Guard, because, you know, Mexico's Air Force is dangerous, and we have to be... You know, and Dick Cheney he got like a college and a marriage deferment of some kind of business and marriage deferment. And then the list goes on. It cited the people in the administration, Richard Pearl, Wolfowitz. They never were part of it, but of course they're the architects of the way the world's going to be. And then I looked at the media list. I was looking at the media list, and I looked at Rush Limbaugh's. Now, he was available for the Vietnam conflict. You mean war? The conflict. And, yeah, and he didn't serve because he had a medical excuse. And, you know, you are your illness, right? You are your illness. So his medical excuse was anal cysts. I couldn't write that. I didn't make that up. So it's official, ladies and gentlemen. Rush Limbaugh is an asshole.
You gotta sing that song now.
Glad we established that. Well, I wonder if he could have. I don't know if he listened to Phil Oakes music back then, but we could sing this one. In honor of a great asshole, we could sing this. But you know the words to this one? I'm only 18, got a ruptured spleen. I always carry a purse. I got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my asthma is getting worse. Oh, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, poor old invalid Ann. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm going to school and I'm working in the defense line. Well, I'm just a typical American boy from a typical American town. I believe in God and MasterCard. We'll make a MasterCard. No one knows who Senator Dodd is anymore. I believe in God and MasterCard and putting old Castro down. And when it came my time to serve, I knew better dead than red. So when I went to my old draft board, this is what I said. I'm only 18, got a ruptured spleen. I always carry a purse. I got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my asthma's getting worse. Oh, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid Ann. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm going to school, I'm working in a defense plant. I got a disconnected disc and a racked up back. I'm allergic to flowers and bugs. With the Avon hits, I get apoplectic fits. I'm addicted to 1,000 drugs. Can't reach my toes. I got the weakness woes. I could hardly reach my knees. And if the enemy got close to me, I'd probably start to sneeze. I'm only 18, got a ruptured spleen. I always carry a purse. I got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my asthma's getting worse. Oh, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid Ann. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm going to school and I'm working in a defense plant. Now don't get me wrong, you know, I hate Hussein, I think he's insane, but there's one thing you gotta see. is that someone's gotta go over there, and that someone isn't me. So I wish you well, Sarge, get in hell, yeah. Kill me 1,000 or so. And if you ever get a war with that mud and gore, I'll be the first to go. I'm only 18, got a ruptured face. I always carry a verse. I got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my ass is getting worse. Oh, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm going to school, I'm working for the defense plan. Faster! Only 18, got a ruptured face. I always carry a verse. My eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my ass is getting worse. Oh, think of my career, my sweetheart dear. Poor old invalid aunt. I ain't no fool, I'm going to school, I'm working to be. Faster! Only 18, got a ruptured face. I always carry a verse. My eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my ass is getting worse. Oh, think of my career, my sweetheart dear. Poor old invalid aunt. Stop, ain't no fool, I'm going to school. Defense plan. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, I am the prez. I'm the one that says we've got to fight this war. I'm a chicken hawk. That means I talk, and my daddy isn't poor. So excuse me while I lie and smile and give your money to my friends. And if the terrorists don't kill you first, you just wait till my first term ends. Sorry, Phil, I had to do it.
Chris Ryan, teach television here.
Wait until my first term ends. That's good. That was you at the end. That was Phil Oak.
yeah.
He was great, huh? Phil Oak was one of the heroes, right?
In fact, one of the things that I've done is I'm a member of this organization called the People's Music Network.
Okay.
Pete Seeger's a member, Charlie King's a member, Pat Humphries is a member, and it's an organization of activists and artists who are doing their work to promote a positive universe, social agenda. So for those of us who want to know more about the People's Music Network, you know, people are saying, well, where are the songwriters?
Yeah, right.
There aren't enough. There are more than ever before.
Really? Yeah, okay.
And they join organizations such as the People's Music Network. So twice a year, there's a winter gathering and a summer gathering where we meet to rejuvenate our spirits and share each other's company, have workshops,
at a
swaps.
given location, or that varies?
Well, in the summertime, we generally have it at Camp Epworth.
Where that is?
That's right outside of New Paltz in Rosendale. And
Really? Rosendale?
Yeah.
Rosendale's a great town. They have the well.
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
saloon, the well.
they have summer camps
Sawdust on the floor.
before summer.
Yeah.
And that organization.
That's a happening part of the world.
Yeah, I love that town. Yeah. And there's also the winter ones in some city that steps forward to host it. We just had it in Amherst.
Amherst, Massachusetts?
About a month ago.
Couldn't you have arranged it in Florida or Bahamas?
Well, that's just that I know it was in Syracuse. Generally, most of our
Snowbelt.
Yeah, really, you know, most of our people are in the Northeast.
Oh, all right.
Some of them in California.
Well, okay,
we've been to Chicago. We've been to Raleigh. You know, but. Yeah, why don't we just do it in Aruba and just like see how many people, how many activists can get together on one island?
Right, might as well. If you're going to, the corporate guys don't have enough sense to go to Aruba when the winter time is there. You know.
Well, they can go do some laundry of their money down there. Let's see.
Okay, now listen, we got to keep rolling along, young man, because you got your guitar here. You want to try and give us some what do you got there in your hand?
You got something. You want to know more about me.
The only problem is I got my eye on the clock, and we got to get it all in.
That's okay. I know it's important that you want to know more about me.
We got to know it all.
And you can tell a lot about people by their possessions.
Yes, that's true.
This is my.
What is that?
This might look like a regular macaroni and cheese, but it's not. You would only get this particular box of macaroni and cheese.
Now hold it steady enough, because they're coming in tight on it. Okay.
You could only have this, you could only possess this if you were invited to the Republican National Convention in New York City.
What are you talking about? Wait, it says Republican in 90 Republicans. That's a Kraft macaroni and cheese box made especially for the Republican convention?
That's right. That's right. So if you're a righteous Republican...
Hold it up so they can see it, young man.
Okay, if you were invited to such a place as a journalist, We are journalists, Harold.
Yes, that's true. You could get invited.
I got myself invited.
Is that how you got your box? That you were invited to the Republican?
I certainly
was inside on the Republican convention?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. If you were invited, you got your goodie bag, and inside the goodie bag were all of the companies kowtowing and currying favor with the Republican Party.
Sure,
so apparently, Kraft is one of those companies.
Aren't they all?
And there was Listerine in there too.
Yeah.
And that's Pfizer. That's Pfizer. So we know where the drug laws come from and the pharmaceutical protection that's being warranted.
And I think it's worth saying that they might have also had a bunch together to go to the Democratic convention, because in a certain sense there's a lot of stuff going on that revolves both the Republicans.
You buy one, you buy both. Right, right.
It's like a corporatocracy. Do you see they're sort of all combined, the establishment is kind of combined, or do you have faith in Franklin Roosevelt's view and the Democrats and that sort of thing? They seem sort of supine in the face of what's going on, or inept.
Okay, there are degrees. There are degrees. So what if you grew up on the street corner and some kid kind of like slapped you around?
Yeah, a lot of people have had that
and
experience.
the other kid slapped you around and threw mud on you and called you names.
That's worse, I guess. Huh?
I guess that's the Republicans.
Yeah.
The Democrats just slap you around a little. So
who
do you hang out with?
That's like between the two mafia dons that are going to get the use of the territory you happen to be in.
So remember, I wasn't until maybe I was 30 when I realized I don't have to play with these people if I don't want to. I mean, that was just a personal experience, but politically, people seem to think that they have to play with one party or another.
Well, where do you, someone with your kind of consciousness, or let's say a thing, where do you go? Do you go to the Greens, or where do we go, or what do? We deal politically, or do we stand back and just mock the whole thing, or do we try to get an overall view that can encompass or subsume all of that historically inherited institutions that are outdated? Where do we go with our consciousness?
I think about that all the time.
I bet. Yeah, it's the source of your songs, right? Or a lot of them.
A lot of it. You know, for me personally, with all the crap that surrounds us in the world.
And ain't there a lot of it?
And you can do good works until you drop dead because you'll never be finished. Is that the way you want to spend your life?
It is a challenge. Yeah, right. I hear you. No, right.
You got to love what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of the things I decided, now that I have a little perspective, I have a relationship.
Right.
I'm getting married in a couple of months.
Congratulations. Yeah.
You know.
So what happens?
Well, let me get to it. Okay. I mean, there was one. How do I get out of here? Art. Art is the only way out. So I pursue that. And well, you know, we still got to eat every day, and you can develop art that lends itself towards. In my life. You know, Gandhi talked about creating that zone of peace around you.
Yeah, right.
You know, you grab that peace that you believe that you can affect, and you create peace within that zone.
Yeah, that's sort of spiritual more than art.
So for me, the way I'm going to transcend all the ugliness around me is through intimacy.
Yeah. Okay.
And I picked a partner, and and let it happen.
And a small circle of friends, maybe, or what?
Well, yeah. Good choice of words.
Yeah.
But Greens or Democrat, there's a certain certain level of pragmatism in which way you lean. But you know, if we read through item for item who stands for what, and we looked at the political candidates for president in the last selection that we had in this country. I really like what Dennis Kucinich had to say.
Yeah, right. But he hadn't got a chance to win.
You know, or the green agenda. But you asked me what I believe in. I'm telling you what I believe in.
Yeah, right.
And
it's a challenge to try and figure out how to. A lot of people are in that space, seems to me, particularly now because it's all coming to a kind of crescendo, and it's really, you know, you got all kinds of mixed things and everything. Okay, listen. Okay, so, and you're doing that. And so one of the things you can do is be like a poet with a song in your heart and on your guitar strings and entertain and help illuminate the human condition and the conundrums and all of that kind of stuff. And
it's all about, it's entertainment. I used to go out there and depress people because I wrote these powerful songs that were very depressing, you know. But...
Okay, it looks like you're going to perform for us now. Yeah.
So
I would submit that I think we're ready to get a performance now.
So
what are you going to sing for us, Mr. Landy?
What do we learn from Mel Brooks? If there are Nazis in the world, you make fun of them, right?
Yeah, right, absolutely, yeah. The producers, yeah, right. Springtime for Hitler you're going to do?
No, but this, ladies and gentlemen, is the world.
There it is. We're coming close on that if you can.
You see,
yeah.
this is the
you
world.
You can't hold the world and play a guitar at the
got
same
the whole
time.
world,
the whole world
in his hand. Oh, wait.
I've got the whole world in my hand.
I guess we'll have to...
I got the world in my hand.
Yes. I guess I'll have to get my dad to buy me a new one.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much foreign policy. I don't know the names of men I killed or implications of the seats I fell by. I do know who pays my way for corporations and the NRA. What a wonderful world this will be. I don't know about ecology. Cutting trees has always worked for me. And I don't know about the woman's vote. And I can't name a single bill I wrote, but I do know this much for sure. If rich stay rich and the poor stay poor, what a wonderful world this will be. I never claimed to be an A student, but I don't have to be. If you've got deep pockets and sell nuclear rockets, well, you're a part of my family. Don't know much about air pollution. I don't know much about the Constitution. I don't care for solar energy. There's nothing in it for my friends and me. And if we can't find any on our soil, then we can go to war to get more oil. Oh, what a wonderful world this will be. I don't know about those driving rules. I don't care about your public schools now. I don't know why the inner cities fail. Why can't folks get dad to pay for Yale? And if these issues that will make you lose are never covered in the evening news, what a wonderful world this will be. I never claimed to be an A student, but I don't have to be. If you've got a brother who's the Florida governor, the result's no mystery. Don't know much about history. Don't know much foreign policy. I don't know about this national debt. I never had to pay one off yet. But I do know who pays my way for corporations in the USA. What a wonderful world this will be. What a wonderful world this will be. You know, I was once nominated for the Supreme Court, you know. For the Supreme Court might help me get that Nobel Peace Prize, yes.
Yeah. Well done.
What a wonderful world this will
be for you and me. All right, bravissimo. Very good, young man. Very good. You put all that together, right?
Yeah.
It's good. It's fun putting them together.
Well,
you get them in the shower. Where do you get the inspiration for the song? And what comes first,
I
the
get
words?
pissed off, Harold. I mean, that's what happens, you know.
That's a good way to work it out, huh?
Yes, it's been very therapeutic.
Yeah. So how many songs have you got in your oeuvre? Or your,
God, I don't know.
Your
Oh, I guess this one works now, right?
Yeah, that should be working.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've written a lot of songs. I count them.
I know. It's like a Niagara. It's coming fast, right? How many do you get? How many? Seriously, you got songs that you've come up with. You take a song, you take a melody, or you take a song, and then you put new words to it.
Yes,
that's the thing. There's a thing by which you can
I was
do
just
that.
working on one the other day.
What was that?
You're going to be watching the show much after yesterday's and tomorrow's newspaper came out.
Monday the 27th.
Well, we just had an
of
incident
February.
where a vice president shot somebody.
Oh, yeah, in the face.
You know, in the face.
Full frontal facial shot.
So I wrote a show tune called "You Can't Trust a Dick with a Gun" from Antioch. From Ethel Merman wasn't available to sing.
Yeah, can't trust a dick with a gun.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But
I think that's really good. Yeah.
I also wrote, and you know, basically when you go to a demonstration and you're leading people in music there, you got to pick a song that people know, and something simple. Everybody knows if you're happy and you know it.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
So how about this one? If you know an oxymoron, shout it out. Fox News. If you know an oxymoron, shout it out. Fox News. If you know a phrase that's annoying you these days, upside down in every way, then shout it out. Fox News, jumbo shrimp, business ethics. You know, you can have fun with that.
Right, you are, and you could just lampoon. That's really good.
Yeah.
The National Lampoon. We got the Onion. That's funny. That
that's
kind
very
of thing.
funny.
It is good. Sometimes the writing's great. We got the Comedy Channel. All the youth are watching Jon Stewart and Colbert and that kind of stuff.
Quite honestly, you know, when I was trying to be an aware young adult, I would get up on Sunday morning and watch those news pundit shows until somebody woke me up
to get to the Comedy Channel
and said to me, "Wait a minute. You got your left guy, your medium guy, and your right guy, but who are the sponsors?"
Yeah, right.
General Electric
Of course,
sponsors
Atomic
Meet the Press.
Bomb Makers.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
So if General Electric is sponsoring Meet the Press, where's the center? It's over here.
Yeah, right. Another epiphany.
Then you have Attila the Hun over here,
yeah,
and then you have what poses for a left guy.
Yeah.
So that woke me up.
Yeah, right.
So I don't watch those shows anymore, and if I want political commentary, I'll look to the comedians.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You like Stewart?
Jay Leno. I like
Jay
Jon
Leno.
Stewart, Jay Leno.
You like Colbert. One of the things you put to a 20-year-old, who do they like better, Jon Stewart or Colbert?
I used to drink cold duck. Who's Colbert?
Colbert's a young kid coming along. He's more of a smartass than Jon Stewart. He's got a little right wing.
Tell me about something.
Anyway, you have to go to there and see it and everything. The problem is, you see, now we got 52 minutes. You got another clip. Should we try to put it in, or should we just sort of talk?
Oh, why don't we just talk?
All right, I think it is.
Basically, so you know what the other clip said was after 9/11, there was one particular firefighting company that lost 10 of 40 guys.
Yeah.
And Larry Otway and myself, we put together an evening of entertainment, and we raised money for the families of the lost firefighters.
Right.
And so
right.
That clip was a little bit about that, and then there was a song in there.
But onto this thing about how you're it's like the idea that when things get so, you got Artaud, now theater of the cruelty of theater of cruelty, but you got, Beckett and something. It's theater of the absurd. It seems to me the political context and everything, it just becomes absurd, and it really is grist for the mill. I had my sister's kids came through. They're all dental surgeons, professionals and that, and they said that to me. Everybody they know, professional people, they're out in the Midwest, St. Louis, but everybody they know down in the 20s, they do not watch the news or anything that's being presented as reality. They go to the Comedy Channel to get their sense of reality. You think that's happening? And do they not go then to the people that are singing and making fun of this rather than trying to discuss it in the serious way in which our political leaders do and fall all over them? Are we in trouble in terms of the leadership that's trying to project itself as legitimate for the operation of this system? And do you see something new that's coming that is not offered by the normal political understanding out of history or
just
something?
asked me 4 or 5 questions.
I know. The trouble is things are
pick one of them, okay?
And make a song out of it.
That's right. I think you were onto something.
What do you think? Yeah.
Before you said something about in the early days of cable, you were talking about, you were speaking to the guy who started C-SPAN. And
Brian Lamb, he was thinking, I
was
was having coffee with him and we were comparing, and he was saying he was thinking of starting something called, and he spelled
the
it out.
Leadership Channel, right?
Yeah, well, that was my idea. We should present our intellectual leader. We get what is human purpose, and then we get the criteria for that, and then the people who are fulfilling that best, the intellectual understanding of things comprehensively, we get that, and we have a channel, and when we have channel capacity beyond, soap operas and things, and that we could present a leadership channel. You have mostly philosophical people.
But here's the thing.
We should have such a thing,
The thing
but we
is,
don't.
the leadership channel is a powerful idea, but the way it generally works is the people who control the major media turn it into the demagogue channel.
That's what
And
happened.
That's what we have.
Well, my idea of the leadership channel would have involved, you know, some real serious intellectuals and so forth, maybe one or two bankers.
How can we
But now
co-opt a
they've
good
got
idea
one or
and
two.
turn it into our political agenda?
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, the financial people have taken over that and everything. It's going to be down. We ought to be worth a word here because we're in public access. And I personally am of the opinion that public access is where the most creative, new creative stuff is going to find itself, more than the commercial networks. And PBS looks awfully commercial to me with corporate ads. It begins, remember they said, they've got Merle saying we're going to start Channel 13 back in 62. And it looks awfully like ads now. They got a lot of good stuff and everything. But I think the leading edge of multimedia presentation of ideas, documentaries, taking advantage of all the exponentially increasing capability of communication and so forth, is going to be within public access, and it's now under threat, isn't it?
Harold, it's up to people.
Yeah.
It's up to people. The thing about what's so wonderful about the internet is that nobody owns it. But that's going to be under
the
attack.
open source,
You
particularly the open
that.
source thing. Yeah.
Everybody, just like desktop publishing made everybody
a publisher. Yeah, right.
You know, the whole idea of everybody being able to make television shows and get it seen.
Or have it there to where it's available, and then the word can get around.
It's like a
When there's
library.
something-
It's like a library.
It's like an autodidactic university or place where you can have that, and then the word can get around that there's something that's really worthwhile. Pattern recognizing is something, because the old way is not presenting anything other than outdated ideas of how things are supposed to be done, it seems to me. So there's got to be an avenue where there's going to be, or a venue where there's going to be new ideas that are going to be able to be presented, and then the word can get around and so forth. And we want to make sure that that's not cut off, it seems to me, with this legislation that's pending and so forth. It's worth a word. We only got about a minute left, so wind it up quickly, young
Okay,
man.
well, what Harold is beginning to talk about is that public access is in big trouble. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the ability to make your ideas seen and heard by other people, you got to call your senators and you got to find out about the legislation in Congress which would effectively stop the flow of money to your cities, which pays for the rights of way. Telephone companies, cable companies tear up your streets. They have their ability to make money in your town. That's a monopoly. What are they giving back to your town? So what you really got to find out is that how do we make sure this money comes back to the city? Because this is what the legislation would stop the flow of that.
Okay,
and that would be the end of public access.
And if all else fails, write a song about it. And
Yes.
you can write a song, and also not
And hug
just,
somebody.
And not just that there is something about you. Say you kept saying you. If the idea of there being a Hyde Park corner where everybody has a chance to get some ideas out there, that's an important idea. It may not affect you directly, but the idea is an important one to protect. And so we got that in and so forth. And thanks for the songs, and thanks for the well-led life. And thank you. Keep the songs coming. You get how many songs a day come to you in the shower and whatnot?
Oh, I don't know.
We're running the credits now, yeah.
I don't know. But the thing is, don't count them. Enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
That's the deal, you know.
Well, that was really good. But we're just chatting now. They're going to run the credits. And really, thanks for coming in a lot, Joe. But anyway, seriously, how many do you think you have in your repertoire, as it were, or in your oeuvre, or whatever you call that?
Billions and billions.
Billions
As Carl
and billions,
Sagan
like
would say,
Carl
billions
Sagan
and
used to say,
billions.
right? Okay, play us out then. Okay, it's been your pleasure, Joe Landy. We're coming back tomorrow. Please tune in. Play us out, Joe.
Okay, we are all able to program cable. Each town, each hour, we have the power. It's about viewing what we are doing. Public access for you and me.
Good idea, good idea.
There are bills in